agents, and welcome to my personal guide for building classified Deadeye in Tom Clancy's The Division patch 1.8, as requested by viewers. Thank you all so much for watching. In a general sense, this is a glass cannon build I run for both PvP and PvE in The Division, but we'll focus on the PvP aspect here. The Deadeye gear set works around the idea that when looking down a scope while on cover, all shots are automatic critical hits. This video will consist of a gear breakdown, brief damage tests, and a clip montage from patch 1.8 demonstrating typical Deadeye kills. The first thing to mention is that this is a completely optimized 5-piece classified Deadeye and 1-piece high-end build where all of my attribute rolls are firearms. Having a reckless chest piece available to use instead of receiving the 6-piece Deadeye bonus allows for a higher damage output and more versatility. Our primary weapon is a God-rolled M700 carbine. Note that the carbine variant is the only M700 with 4 attachment slots, so it is preferable over any other variant type. The headshot damage bonus doesn't need to be considered when finding a gun for this build, but the base damage and talents are important and there really isn't much wiggle room. Deadly and Prepared are must-have talents for this build that will raise your flat damage and critical hit damage in scenarios where you are distanced from your target. They can both be achieved with no stamina or electronics gear rolls, so they belong in the first 2 talent slots. As far as your third talent goes, there are different options. This gun has Elevated, which can raise base damage as effectively as Competent can, but they are both only applicable under certain scenarios. Personally, I prefer Competent, which is activated after using a skill. As far as attachments go, we are looking for the highest rolls of critical hit damage, rate of fire, magazine size, and reload speed to really put this gun over the top. Critical hit damage should be the major stat everywhere except on the magazine. The only useless attributes that Deadeye mods can have are critical hit chance and headshot damage. These 4 attachments contain the maximum critical hit damage rolls at 19 and 4%. For the secondary and sidearm, you can run whatever you're most comfortable with. I have the Big Alejandro equipped as a secondary for high RPM kills and a 93R to bleed enemies on the run with the harmful talent. All weapon types have their advantages, so choose whatever you like the best. The first gear piece equipped is a Reckless chest piece. In addition to the bonus damage dealt from the Reckless talent, this chest piece has optimized armor, health, enemy armor damage, and ammo rolls. Because stamina is so insignificant, rolling health where applicable is extremely important for a Deadeye, so you can last long enough to get off your sniper shots. Critical hit damage and enemy armor damage are the other ways to directly boost your damage that will be seen as major attributes. On our firearms mask, enemy armor damage is the most important major attribute to boost player damage, and the minor is not so important. Shock or burn resistance may be more useful to those who only PvP. Here's a quick look at the Deadeye gear set bonuses. The 5th bonus allows classified pieces to boost critical hit damage and initial bullet stability. With Deadeye knee pads, the most important thing to note is the huge amount of health that knee pads can roll with. You may consider critical hit damage here, but I would advise against it. By rolling large amounts of health, we can maintain a ratio of 5 firearms to 0 stamina pieces, and still have a decent amount of survivability. Shock and bleed resistance are the 2 most useful minor attributes in PvP, so take the opportunity to build resistance here. Moving on to the backpack, we see again that rolling health comes in a large chunk to make up for low stamina. Ideally, and for the same purpose, all gear mods you equip should be firearms with health to raise damage and survivability in the optimal proportion. The maximum firearms value on these mods currently sits at 267. Self-heal performance mods will also moderately increase the weak heals this build utilizes. These newly optimized Deadeye gloves have each best in slot as major. The flat marks on rifle damage and crit hit damage directly raise your per bullet damage. Enemy armor damage as a 3rd major slightly raises damage to players, unlike critical hit chance, which only applies when you aren't scoped in. The Deadeye holster is relatively simple and is optimized to have maximum armor and health as the major attribute. Out of the 2 skills and 1 signature skill that can be equipped with this build, the signature is completely up to personal preference. Each one has unique damage or survivability benefits. The 1 skill that is non-negotiable is First Aid with the Booster Shot mod. This serves the purpose of both healing and moderately increasing all damage briefly. When selecting a 2nd skill, if you are running solo, a form of Pulse should be selected. The provided critical hit damage is unmatched by other skills. If you are in a group where other more electronics heavy builds can run the Pulse, you may be better off selecting Smart Cover to raise damage resilience, or even lower your enemy's damage resilience with the Trapper mod. As far as basic talents go, the combination of Evasive Action and Tactical Advance gives you the first tool in the Deadeye's toolkit. While performing a cover-to-cover move before shooting, you will receive a 30% increased damage resistance while running, and up to a 30% increased weapon damage boost shortly after. Tactical Advance is the single most important talent for the build, because with range you can control when you trade damage, so you can always have the bonus ready. The two most universal talents for Division Agents in 1.8 are Critical Save, even after the nerf, and Combat Medic if you are grouped with anyone. While solo, you can just pick your next favorite ability instead of Combat Medic. Here are my character stats inside of the Dark Zone. When testing your build, make sure to look at your stats outside of Last Stand where they are standardized in a World Tier 5 for the correct toughness. The stats that need to be maximized with this build are critical hit damage, weapon damage, sparks and rifle damage, enemy armor damage, and as much survivability as you can scrape up with health. All of these stats were before skills and talents play their role, so keep that in mind. When all maximum firearm roll mods are equipped, this is the initial DPS. A quick damage test can exemplify how to maximize damage briefly in order to trade. With no additional bonuses, a shot in the Dark Zone of my build typically hits for somewhere above 160,000 damage. This varies with armor, but not too significantly. Only the total health pool of an enemy is the large difference. In these tests, I'm targeting one agent with the lowest toughness typically seen in the Dark Zone, having a similar Deadeye build to what I am using. The other targeted agent has the highest toughness typically seen in PvP, with a full stamina Predator's Mark build. When using the synergy of Tactical Advance, my own Pulse, my own Booster Shot, the Prepared talent, and the Elevated talent, our damage per bullet rises to 295,000. At the second shot, we see that while Tactical Advance was active, our damage was raised by 55,000. This hit is enough to down low toughness builds, but under these settings it can't take down most Predator users. In order to combat this, the perfect storm of ability uses can exemplify the maximum damage output that this build can achieve on players in the Dark Zone. By using your own Booster Shot, Tactical Advance, the Prepared talent, the Elevated talent, a Tactical Signature Link, a teammate's maxed Pulse, and a teammate's maxed Trapper mod Smart Cover, the damage dealt to an agent reaches 506,000. This final case here is obviously not the typical circumstances where enemies have none of their own resilience bonuses active, but it serves to show how damage multipliers can nearly triple the damage output of this build when utilized correctly. Now we are on to my favorite part, what you can expect to see when running this build in the Dark Zone properly. Enjoy.
Found on your position.
disavow division affiliate. This action will mark you as rogue. Rogue agent down. Hitting the safe area.
Dog, your stacks, big dog. I appreciate
Rogue
it.
agent.
Oh.
Fuck you. Fuck your Deadeye. Fucking fire.
Like where you jerking off. How do you do that? No, man. You upset me. Deadeye, you upset me too.
You guys are nerds. I'm just gonna tell you that. Bunch of nerds.
You gonna hack my IP address, bro? You gonna turn my power off? My water too?
Already done.
So when I take,
Water's off.
can't take showers?
Night code.
Like, this is a serious question. Why does your voice, like, raise when you're trying to, it's like,
Oh.
you get, like, very effeminate.
Oh. Go. Ah. Oh shit. Oh shit.
Powder,
Yo, Powder.
do you want this stuff back?
You better clip that, bro. You just got killed by the TRN leader. The clip's gonna be worth some money.
Message me if you want that stuff back. Or just do jumping jacks, actually.
Oh no, he doesn't.
Cool.
want
Cool,
That-
man. Cool. Fucking cool, man.
it. I wonder how many people will let us farm on because of your name.
Oh no. No. No.
You guarantee you, buddy, my Deadeye's better than yours.
Thank you all so much for watching. I'm sorry this little project took so long to make. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments below and I will be sure to answer them as quick as possible. I'm sure I didn't touch on every detail based on the video time constraints. Also, if you liked what you see, please consider subscribing to see more great content I have coming out. That is it, agents. Thank you again for watching, and remember that if you ever need a skill down, you know where to go.